the second luminous mystery, Jesus reveals his glory at the wedding feast of Cana. Who doesn't like a wedding? And who doesn't like a wedding feast, for that matter? And despite all of the many instances where Jesus could have revealed who he truly is, he chooses the setting of a wedding. And we know this account very well. Jesus and his disciples are invited to a wedding party. His mother is there, and there is much joy and much festivity. And the wedding feast lasted an entire week. Could you imagine celebrating in great joy for an entire week the nuptials of a man and a woman, of a newly married husband and wife, all week long, food and feasting and choice wine. That was also especially important. But for some reason, at this first day of the celebration, they've run out of wine. That would be a huge embarrassment for the couple. A rather inauspicious way to begin their nuptials. To run out of anything, especially for a wedding celebration, would have been a sign of a lack of hospitality. And it would have been an incredibly poor sign for the couple. It would have been seen in many ways as a lack of blessing from God and a lack of love and hospitality on their part for their guests. And then, what do we see happen in this beautiful scene? Mary, the mother of Jesus, comes to him and says, "They have run out of wine." She, who is so compassionate and so tender and so loving, comes up to her son and confides to him what has happened. Now, how did she know? Did she observe? Likely, she and Jesus were friends of the couple and friends of their family. And so, taking a great interest in the welfare and well-being of her friends, she asks Jesus and lets him know what has happened. And why does she ask him? Because she knows he can do something about it. She knows who her son is. And she knows it because when the angel of the Lord appears to her, asking her and inviting her to be the mother of the Son of the Most High, she conceives the Christ in her heart before she conceives him in her womb. She is the first disciple of Christ, and she believes that he is who God says he is. That was the first mystery, the first joyful mystery. So Mary comes to Jesus because she knows of all people, he is the only one who will be able to help. And he says, "My time has not yet come." And Mary's response is to tell the servants at the wedding feast to do whatever Jesus tells you. Notice her absolute confidence in her son. And notice, as a mother, how she informs others to follow her son as she herself is doing and has done. And so, 6 jars used for ceremonial washing, are filled to the brim with water. These are incredibly large jars, massive jars, filled to the brim, and Jesus glorifies God and changes the water into wine. And when the wine is tasted, it is brought to the bridegroom and is remarked as being more exceptional than any other vintage that has been tasted. Generally, people serve the finest wine first, and then once people have had their fill of wine and are becoming tipsy, an inferior wine is served so that who could tell the difference? But at this wedding, the best wine was served last, the wine that Jesus had made miraculously. Why is this light? Why is this a luminous mystery? Jesus reveals his glory, who he is, through his first miracle at Cana, at a wedding feast. And it is no accident that he does so at a wedding feast, because he is the bridegroom. I mentioned yesterday that when John the Baptist is informing his disciples of who he is, he says that the best man witnesses to the bridegroom. I am not the bridegroom, John the Baptist said. He is. Jesus Christ is. And here we have the servant coming to the bridegroom at the wedding feast of Cana. And it's interesting how John writes this gospel, because he leaves it titled The Bridegroom. Does that mean that the wine is being brought to the man who has just been married and whose wedding celebration it is? Or does it mean that the wine has been brought to Jesus, the bridegroom of the church, and it has been said to him? Usually, inferior wine is given later, but you have given the choicest wine now. There's great light, my dear friends in Christ, in looking at the wedding feast of Cana and seeing Jesus reveal his glory. And so as you pray the Second Luminous Mystery today, remember Jesus, the bridegroom, and how he has changed water into wine, and how he can change you from the vessel you are into a vessel for his glory. But only if you make space for grace.